welcome to the very first episode of Leveling Up with JCwithTHEshot. This is super exciting to be in this position. I've been working on this podcast behind the scenes a lot over the last couple of months and trying to get things ready and trying to really understand what it is that I want to get out of this podcast. And so this is the prologue episode. We're not going to hop into my story right off the start. This episode is a really big focus on what is to come, what this podcast is all about, and really just amping it up for every level after this one. This is the prologue. This is the start to the story. We have a lot of awesome episodes in the future. We have a lot of great guests that are going to be a part of this podcast. And I am extremely excited to be a part of this journey. And I hope that you all are just as excited. This is the first podcast that I've ever actually produced myself. And, selecting YouTube to be the format, I wanted it to be an opportunity for you all to see the, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, the voice to the face, right? That's not just for myself. That's for the people that are going to be coming on to the show, the people that are going to, be invested. Like, I want to bring in a wide variety of individuals from different walks of life, and it's not just going to be the people that I play games with day in and day out, right? Like, I want to bring people that I don't communicate with all the time. I want to bring in people that I've never met. And that, I think that is the beauty of having a podcast. And so before I get more into what my hopes are and what the goal is of this podcast and this journey is going to be, I should probably tell you a little bit about what this podcast is actually going to be about, because you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, so he's talking about, starting this podcast, bringing people on. Okay, but like, what are those people going to talk about? Like, what is happening in this podcast? Like, why should I stay and watch and pay attention each week? And here it is, right? So, Leveling Up with JCwithTHEshot. If you are not familiar with my brand, or you are brand new to the JCwithTHEshot brand, it is all focused around gaming. And far too often in life, and over the recent years, you've seen a lot of negative connotations towards gaming, right? People who are involved in school shootings, people who are isolated, people who struggle with connecting with other people and have mental illness, right? Like, a lot of people attribute that to video games. And as somebody who has avidly played video games throughout their life, I am just one example of many and millions of people out there who that is not the truth for. And so the goal for this podcast is to focus on the journey and the impact that video games has made, or have made, I should say, in the lives of people, right? Like, what was the first game that somebody ever picked up, and how did that impact where they went in life, or how did that impact what they're doing today, right? Like, who do they relate more to or most to in a video game series, or just in a game in general, right? There are so many iconic figures in video games that people can relate to, that form connections to. And I wouldn't necessarily say base their life off of that, but they gain valuable lessons from those individuals, right? And yeah, these story arcs and storylines are created by other people, but at the same time, when you are so immersed into a culture and a game and a storyline, you're going to pick up on those things, right? Like, watching movies, watching TV shows, like, these are places that people gain characteristics and gain not necessarily foresight, but like gain a sight on what they want to accomplish in life. And gaming is no different. Gaming has been and will forever be a form of entertainment. And so I want to explore that with people, right? Like, there are going to be people on this podcast that play games every single day. There are going to be people that haven't played games since they were a kid. Or there are going to be people that, just picked up games for the first time because they were never allowed to have it growing up. Or, they use it as an opportunity to just escape, reality. And especially, today, being in quarantine, and you look across like statistics in a lot of places, like, people are picking up games more and more because of the situation that we're in and life. And it's crazy to think that once upon a time, people, and I'll get into this in future episodes, but people linking video games to addiction, to mental health, to a variety of different things, right? Like, I do want to focus on the story part and the impact that gaming has had on people. But at the same time, I don't think we can start having those conversations until we understand why we're having these conversations, or where these conversations stem from, right? Like, at the end of the day, there is a reason that I continue to play video games. There is a reason that video games have stayed in my life ever since I was a kid, and getting my first system when I was younger, or playing with my cousins, and we'll talk about that in level 1. But this is to break any sort of stereotype, to break any sort of like fake news that is out there about the impact that video games and playing games has on people, right? Like, I could go into this, and this again is going to be its own episode, and this is just the prologue. But I started this because gaming has made an impact in people's lives, whether they know that or not, or whether they think about that or not. And I'm going to challenge those people with the questions that I ask. I'm not going to just ask, oh, hey, like, well, what's your favorite character? Like, what's been your favorite game? Like, there is so much more to why people feel the way that they do about the interests or the passions they take in life, or the things that they relate to, and that's what I want to find. That is exactly what I want to get to and what I want to find. And so, also in this podcast, as I said, like, I'm going to be bringing people into the show, asking them questions about their journey with gaming. I want to get people who are involved in things like cosplay too, because in my friend group, I don't have anybody that is involved in cosplay, that goes to conventions. And the people that do that, like I said, are taking on gaming, or the idea of gaming and the storyline and the culture and the universe, into a whole different level, right? They are literally immersing themselves in that. And I want to see why. Like, I want to understand what it was about gaming that brought them to that point, or what it is about gaming currently that continues to put them in that space, right? So, for those of you that don't know, I stream on Twitch, and I have been for 2 years in July. It's been a super great journey. Really being able to develop a community and play games where I have more of a purpose than just getting on, right? Like, I provide entertainment and provide a source of relaxation for some people to just watch and join in and be a part of. And it's been huge. And so my journey has changed, and so have many other people's. And so that is what this podcast is about. As of right now, and I say this as of right now because I don't know where the future lies, this is going to be a weekly podcast that comes out every single Friday on YouTube. You can only find this on my YouTube. It is and will be at the end of this video for you to be able to find and get to and continue to watch this series, continue to watch this podcast. I'm super excited, as I said, to see where this goes. I'm super excited to hear the stories and just have conversations around gaming that I probably never have had before. And hopefully these conversations are new to you all as well. Because this is something that my life has been leading up to, oddly enough. Like, I am in this point for a reason, and I am starting this at this point in my life for a reason. And I want to explore what that is. And so I hope you're open to being a part of this journey. I hope you are willing to, gain level by level. I hope you are, willing to take on the boss fights and even in your toughest days, like, come listen to what people have to say. If you are a firm believer that video games is toxic for people, I hope this podcast changes your mind. And if you're set in that way, at least give it a chance. Because at the end of the day, we don't get anywhere in this world unless we are open-minded and willing to change our mindset. And this podcast is going to be blunt. I don't sugarcoat things typically. There may be language involved, and for those of you that watch my stream or those of you that follow my brand, like, I don't filter myself a lot of the time. Yes, like, I work in a professional setting and I filter myself when I'm in that professional setting. And yes, streaming this podcast is also a professional setting, but I'm also not going to filter myself in that setting. And so hopefully, when that comes, that doesn't deter you from being a part of this journey. Like I said, I wanted to give you all expectations of what's to come in this podcast. Because I think it's super exciting. And I'm really, really happy for where we're at. And before we close out this episode, I do want to give a huge shout out to my designer, Creative Oliver. I'm going to be putting his link down in the description below, as well as his portfolio, because he's the one that designed the logo, as well as the intro for this podcast. And so I'm super excited, very, very thankful for him. He may potentially get on this podcast at some point as well. But with that being said, please like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and I look forward to seeing you all next Friday as we head into level 1. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks and take care.